Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sports Today. We are here today to preview, of course, an important football match for the Indian football team that is set to actually take place very, very soon. We are, of course, referring to the friendly match that they will be playing against Vietnam. Now, of course, a little bit of a background for you guys. You know that the Indian football team were playing two international friendly matches during this international break week. The first one was against Singapore, the second will be against Vietnam. It is, of course, part of the Home Thing International Football Friendly Tournament. And now, as things stand, the second match is against Vietnam, and it will be a bit of a challenging match for the Indian football team. Why? Because they were expected to actually do very well against the Singapore side, who were ranked much lower than them. But unfortunately, in a tale that has become pretty familiar for the Indian football team in recent times, they could only create a lot of chances, but unfortunately, they didn't do much when it came to converting those chances. So that was the major problem when it came to, of course, the Indian team against Singapore. Unfortunately, they made plenty of chances, but they couldn't actually convert them. It's been a tale that has been a problem for a while for this team. Now, however, they're up against Vietnam, and Vietnam are a much stronger side compared to Singapore. Now, how exactly is it that they can fare? Well, the frustrating thing when it comes to the Indian football team is that they can be fairly unpredictable. They can actually range from being brilliant to average in the space of a few given days. And generally speaking, the Indian teams do tend to fare better against teams who are actually higher ranked than them, at least when it comes to Asian competition, because they don't necessarily need to take the initiative to the teams. So what they can do is sit back and look to play on the break, and they do have plenty of speedy players. And anyway, speaking of the players, we can actually take a look at the playing 11s, because the playing 11 has been released on Twitter. I'll just open it for you guys, and we can look over, and based on what I know, or what I looked at, in fact, when it came to the team, it's a pretty decent looking side. Of course, there are a few young players who are also getting a chance in that regard. So let's quickly go over the team. You have Gurpreet in goal, which is to be expected. Again, Anwar Ali and Chinglesana Singh, the Sandesh Jingan, Akash Mishra, Anirudh Thapa starts in the center of midfield. And of course, up front, you have the likes of Sunil Chhetri, Ashik, and Udanta. So that's a very, very interesting forward lineup, because again, as I say, I like to look at this team. I'll be very honest with you. There's a lot of mix there. There's plenty of younger players in there as well. It's good to see Steam Match actually giving them a chance, because there's no better way to evaluate how ready a player is for the international level than by actually giving them a run out in games like these. That's what friendly matches are for. It is to test your bench strength, as well as, of course, keeping players fit. The subs, by the way, there's quite a few interesting names there as well. You have Ishan Pandita, you have Liston Kolako, who's been on fire for ATK Mohun Bagan in recent times. You also have Lalenzala Shante, who had a very, very good time in the recently concluded Durand Cup. You'd remember that he, in fact, was the top goal scorer of that tournament, even though Mumbai City FC lost out in the final. So it's a good bench as well. You have Raul KP, you have Brandon Fernandez. It's a pretty strong bench. So he does have options to call upon if they so feel like there is a need to actually get the game changed. Now, you know for a fact that the match will be starting in about 5 minutes time. So quick preview of overview of where it is that these teams stand. Now, again, most people saw Singapore as being that one team who both India and Vietnam would be able to beat quite easily. Vietnam, to be fair, lived up to their end of the bargain. They beat Singapore 4-0. India, however, as I mentioned, was only managed a 1-1 draw against Singapore. So clearly, in that regard, not exactly the best time, for them in that particular match. But as I said, India do tend to blow hot and cold a lot in these particular matches. So let's just see how it is that they go. And even head coach Igor Stimac had also said that the players need to be more clinical up front. They need to be actually better off when it comes to taking their chances in the transitional phases of the game. So whether or not they can do that, that is, of course, something that we'll only know once we start watching the match. And he did, of course, hint at the fact. I remember Stimac had said earlier that they may just end up going with some youngsters, and in fact that is what has happened, because you're seeing the playing 11. There's quite a few young players who are part of. I mean, let's not count Anirudh Thapa. He's been a regular of the side for a while, but someone like Sahal Samad and Ashik Khurnia, Jackson Singh, all of these guys getting a look in. Normally they're not always regular guaranteed starters, but the fact that they're getting this game time is actually a pretty good thing, if you ask me, because again, it's good that you have good youngsters there, but they need to be judged on the international stage rather than just what they do for their clubs. And the good thing, of course, is that India have in recent times had a few good young players coming through the ranks, so it's only fair and valid to them that they actually get that chance to strut their stuff on the international level. And of course, you never really know. Sometimes an injection of youth works very well because they'll play a little more fearlessly than what their experienced counterparts would play. So I, for one, am very excited, and of course, I'll be watching this match, and I'll be coming to you guys both in during halftime and after full time is done. So do stay tuned to Sports Day for some analysis both in the middle of the match as well as at the end of the match. Join us then. I'm taking your leave for now, but thank you all so much for joining us on this particular preview. So thank you all for joining us, and again, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, tap the bell icon, and of course follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Bye bye for now. Don't forget to join us when we go live in the middle of and after the match. Thank you. Bye bye.